Be discussing a very important issue at this time. Our country is going through an economic recession. There's a lot of unemployment in Belize. Some people dare to say there's quite a bit of hopelessness, as a matter of fact. Not only in the urban areas, I dare say even in the rural areas. We have with us a development geographer. On my immediate left, Mr. Mahadeo Bison. Mr. Bison has his Masters of Arts from Edinburgh and McGill Universities. He's a Trinidadian, Canadian trade analyst expert in WTO rules and effects of IMF and World Bank in controlling countries, including the CARICOM and the Caribbean region. And tonight he will be discussing with us and sharing with us some very practical measures, practical ways on how we can actually survive and strive during this time. We also have with us Mr. Abdul Yunus. I'll say the full name, Abdul Majid. No, Abdul, I call it Abdul. He is, I read his poems. He's a brilliant person. He's a Belizean author, a poet, an activist. He's a youth officer in the Ministry of Education. You're also a youth development officer at Gateway. He's a student of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And tonight, he will be here in the role as General Secretary of the Belize Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. Okay? We'll be learning more about what he does and what is Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, because a lot of us may not be very familiar with it. And on my right, this very distinguished guy with these glasses and this hat, Iman Mohammed Sadiqi. All right, I'm pronouncing it correct. Sadiq. He's a graduate of Jamai, it's an Islamic university in Ghana, and Ashar University in Egypt. He's a former missionary in charge of Jamaica and now in Canada. He will also be discussing with us some training programs and efforts, but a lot we'll be hearing about him as it regards the, let me pronounce it correct, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And I'll be also discussing with him some differences between this particular community, which is also an Islamic Muslim organization. A lot of times when we hear about Islam and Muslims, yeah, we've been hearing maybe more about terrorism and things like that. Let's be upfront. But there's a lot of good that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has been doing right here in Belize, and I dare say in the world. We'll be hearing about some of these things, and we'll be bringing it right here in Belize. We'll also be discussing recently, we've heard about the death of a Belizean-born Islamic militant in the Philippines, along with his common law wife, a Filipino. They were shot and killed January the 7th, 2017. And it may have some impact to us here in Belize and of course to the Muslim community here in Belize. We want to discuss that. And I want to also inform you, it's a very loaded show, I know, but we're going to try and ensure that we touch each of these in a very good manner. Of course, you all will be waiting for the live call-in segment. We're going to open up the lines at 9 o'clock so that you can get in your questions. Again, you'll need to be brief when you ask those questions. Those of you on Facebook, you can send your comments, your questions, of course also on YouTube channel. It's been aired live on both and of course throughout the country on all the cable networks. And if you know someone who do not have a television or a computer, tell them that if he or she owns a smartphone, as long as they can access the internet, they'll be able to go on Facebook or YouTube and watch the show live. Now, the first segment of the show I'll be discussing with Mr. Bessoon some of these practical measures. And of course, Abdul will also be wanting to hear from you. And then the second leg, we'll be bringing in Iman Sadiq. These are names that I'm not too... Iman, right? Imam Sadiq. Mr. Bessoon, I wanted to ask you, we shared a very... I was privy to a very lively discussion between these two gentlemen right here. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant fellas. Very brilliant, and you'll get to know what I'm talking about right during the show. You've been in Belize since December 7th.
That's right.
All right? You're a development geographer. Now I know about a development economist.
Yes.
So now I hear about a development geographer, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers want to know, what is a development geographer? Explain to us what a development geographer is and what he or she does.
Well, thank you very much. But before we go to that, let me say that this is a wonderful and very welcome opportunity to join you tonight. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. You see, I'm trying to learn.
Yes,
Right.
my pleasure.
A development geographer has to be judged by what he does. And what he's taken on and must do is to take into consideration both people and place
Yes.
and what's happening on the ground. Now, I found that it's easier to look at place. I did start off as a physical geographer, studied meteorology, geology, biogeography, climatology, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So I had a very, very solid grounding. And then along the way, I found that I didn't know people. So there's a branch of human geography that I went into.
Yes.
And I took courses in political geography, the geography of Africa, and also economic development. And that is a growing field.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is that as I went, I found that I wasn't really familiar with some of the greater people, the greater economists who were
Yes.
dealing with this. People like Gunnar Myrdal from Sweden, and other people like that. Dudley Sears, who was in Trinidad. And we have in the Caribbean a couple of really great economists who are friends of mine. One of them is in Trinidad, his name is Eric Sincere.
Yes.
And he's been encouraging me, for example, when I was writing the first book. Get on with it, he said. And then another friend is in Guyana, and that's Thomas, right?
By the way, I want you to also show, I mentioned that Mr. Bessoon is an author. So we have a copy of one of your books. I know there's two books.
Yes.
We have one that they'll be showing right now. All right. Guyana for the taking or the making.
Yes.
All right. And then we also have one that I want to ask you a question about right now.
Please.
Seeing beyond the Bocas.
Yes, see beyond the Bocas.
Quest for livelihood in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And you indicated that prior to World War II, Trinidad had a largely sustainable economy in which Trinidadians had bought lands, opened up new areas for cultivation, diversified their crops, and created vibrant farming communities which coexisted with the big sugar and cocoa plantations and the growing oil and tourism industries. You stated that during that time, particularly in the rural communities, many food products were produced at home and sold in the local markets. Practices of self-help and communal cooperation were deeply rooted.
Yes.
And you further mentioned that light manufacturing and crafts flourished.
After 1950,
Yes, in hundreds of small businesses and workshops.
yes.
Especially, but not only in and around the larger towns, but also along the main highways. You highlighted that this is a very good book. You highlighted that this was a kind of industrialization that was low tech, small scale.
At the time, yes.
Yes, rooted in a local community and based on the skills of individual artisans and craftsmen and women and their own activities.
Yes.
But what, in your view, changed that all? Because I want to bring that to Belize as well.
Okay, with the arrival of independence,
Yes.
there was a hunt for understandings
Yes.
that could lead to developing a country. Unfortunately, this soon took the form of trying to match the British. What the term that was used then was the commanding heights of the economy. Now, there is no way in which a small country like Trinidad can have any commanding heights, as far as I'm concerned. However, we did put in an area called Point Lisas, and that led to the utilization of natural gas, especially, to develop the chemical industry. Steel industry came in. We didn't manage it very well. And then metal came in. Metal is enormous. And what we didn't have was the management ability.
Yes.
Because if you put people in place who figure, oh, I have a job because I'm on the right side, and you sit there and you collect your pay and you don't do anything. You don't want to think and protect yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Protect the industry you're managing. Then you're really into real trouble. And that's repeated over and over again in different places.
Yes.
Because too often, our so-called educated people, engineers, managers and all that, move into these jobs, but they have no idea of commitment to the society, responsibility. You're doing something very important, we like it, but please look after it for us. This is what you're being paid to do.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen. I mean, my friend Imam will tell you what has happened in Ghana to the bauxite industry, the Upper Volta project and so on, which I was studying when I was in Scotland in school. So I know about all these things.
And is this in both the private and the public sector?
Well, we have problems with the public sector too, in the sense that people there too do not have a management ethic that says yes.
Yeah.
Yes to us. Okay? They are accustomed to saying yes to the so-called multinational corporation now, and then that is reflected more lately in the macroeconomic policy that comes out of the IMF conditionalities, 9 of them, that strapped us in. And every time things go bad in Trinidad, the community starts feeling, well, hey, pretty soon, we're going to have another devaluation, because although we have a central bank, we don't control the value of our money anymore.
Yes.
Mind you, in 1947, the Trinidad dollar was on par with the US dollar. It was value the same thing.
Yes.
Now the Trinidad dollar is only worth 16 cents. The Guyanese dollar, on the other hand, you have to pay 200 Guyanese dollars for 1 US. And at least in Belize, you have 50% for your Belize dollar.
Yes.
So you're paying 2 for 1.
Yes.
That gives us an advantage which you should make use of. All right. But I don't want to say too much. I want to go back to a little bit to what the geographer does.
Yes.
What we've done is to really shift our attention from putting our people in place to work and be innovative, to continue to be innovative.
Yes.
What we've done instead is to put them in a position of complacency. So our food bill is high at 4, 5, or 6 million TT dollars, nearly 1 billion American dollars. Okay? And the rest of the Caribbean, 3.5 billion US dollars a year.
Yes.
So we give away the market. And we fail to take the parts of the market that we can make available to ourselves. Whatever dairying we had disappeared. The sugar is gone.
Yes.
And we do not dream up ways and means to adjust and change.
And what have you seen in Belize?
I want to leave that for a moment and go back to looking at the people we depend on to be economists, development economists as you call them.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, they're not like a geographer on the ground, looking at people and place. And any economy has to have its geography.
Yes.
You're functioning inside land, resources,
Correct.
okay?
Yes.
And then how are your people interacting with these resources to find your way? And when things change, can you adapt? Can you modify what you're doing and change your position? And I have many examples I will share to you maybe in a later program or just by sending you the...
Because I'm not aware
Of?
of development geographers in Belize. Abdul?
No, no, there aren't many of us. And what I wrote in the back of my book was that Paul Krugman,
Yes.
who is an amazing American economist of a different kind,
Yes.
saw a role that development geographers can fill. A part we could play, a positive, constructive part. In the beginning, economists studied geography.
Yes.
When they go to university now, there's no geography.
No,
They don't know geography.
No.
And what they're doing is using a lot of fancy mathematical equations. to reflect-
Econometric.
Yeah, econometrics, okay? The more you have these numbers we don't understand,
Yes.
the more sense you're making. And they're off the ground.
Yes.
In other words, they're practicing virtual economics, okay?
It's a mixture.
Yeah, it doesn't really relate to reality.
Yeah.
And there are so many awful assumptions inside economics that you react to them and say, oh God.
Well, they try to gear it towards statistics and economics and all that. But I want to hear from you.
About?
I want to hear from you as a development geographer, correct? Some of the ways, some of the sustainable ways that you feel Belize could adopt. I mean, I mentioned earlier in the show the economic recession that we're in. I mentioned about the joblessness of thousands of our people.
Yes.
And so I want that you can bring forth to those viewers listening, and there'll be other persons who will be watching as well, and the show will be repeated, and people will get a chance to go on Facebook or YouTube and watch it at their leisure.
Okay.
Share with us some practical ways that you feel right here in Belize our Belizeans would be able to utilize and adequately adapt.
Okay. Let us try to do that by focusing on poverty in Belize.
Yes.
Okay. The current level of poverty in Belize is 41%. That's reported in 2016, right? And there are other years, but constantly the economy has not been constructed to absorb all labor force, and particularly not skilled labor. So you end up inside the economy begging for a job, and we educate people who go looking for a job. My feeling is it's coming to the end of that. We have to start educating people to creating their own jobs.
Correct.
Being,
Entrepreneurial.
yes, entrepreneurs, innovation, all the rest
Yes.
of it. That requires a whole change in how we educate them, right? Because what you're doing is, in the past in the workforce, was to give them academic type education. A lot of us failed. I didn't. I mean, I was telling you earlier,
I didn't
to
think
reassure
about that.
myself,
I
I went to
entrepreneur.
university for 6 years without having to get a penny.
Yes.
I went on scholarships.
Yes.
Okay? So I was one of those who won in that system. So now I can criticize it because I've been through it.
I won four scholarships for my 4 level of education.
Wonderful.
But I like the entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay. My hope is to open windows and doors to Belize society through an exploration of technologies, both the hardware and software, of preferred choices, selected choices.
Yes.
Because the technology you choose can work against you. It's like a two-edged sword.
Okay.
So you have to choose,
Yeah.
and we have choices. We don't, as far as I can see, especially in developed countries. But here in Belize, we need to choose the technologies we can master, we can pay for, and put to work.
I like that.
At one time, they were talking about a transfer of technology in the literature, language, and all that.
Yes.
The expert stuff that's being written. That doesn't happen without paying. You want technology, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So find the teachers, and here what we do. At 55, some of the best technology teachers cannot be hired by law. Okay? So what we do then is to cheat our kids. Right? The education system, I can be very critical of it, but let me leave that for another time. Let me go on to look at well, what I mean by technology. You see, technology has two sides, the hardware and the software. Right? The hardware means solid tools and equipment.
Yes.
Right? The software is what's here. What's here. And for that you need, I'm groping towards of suggesting we need a holistic education. One that doesn't only teach this,
Yes.
but one that does this and this. The whole person.
Yes.
Not by tying his hands behind his back or her hands behind her back. We want to liberate these people so they can dream
Yes.
and they can be creative.
And you
They
know
can
they
trust
say
themselves.
success is being paid
Yeah.
for doing something or producing something that you enjoy.
That's good. But sometimes at this point we may not be able to do that. I met a young woman on Central American Drive,
Yes.
very nice girl,
Yes.
and she had finished. I got to talking to her and she was finished high school.
Okay.
So I was saying, what are you doing at this point? Can you find a job? I said, well, I'm having some trouble. I said, well, look, please consider becoming a nurse, especially if you get a few dollars while you're in training. Because obviously she wasn't rich,
Yeah.
but she was a good person,
Yes.
and she deserves a chance. So that's the kind of challenge that something I put out to people, and I'm hoping the young people don't feel I'm interfering. But if you care about people, you have to step up, and you have to advise, and in a sense counsel, and let them know that you like them. Okay? It's so sad when people go through many years of school and they feel they haven't had a teacher who liked them. And then it's a... Let me not touch the education system.
Yeah.
That needs a whole new program.
Well, let us
Okay.
before
So-
you get in, I want us to go and take our first break, and then we'll come back and we'll hear from you. Our first break.
Thank you.
The circle starts with solid support and a smile. This is real life. With its ups and its downs. This is going the extra mile. And the feeling you get when you can help someone along their journey. Through the twists and turns, we're here. This is Western Union, making sure your support reaches its destination. This is Western Union, moving money for better.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Shepherd and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. Our land consultancy services also include appraisals, conveyances, registrations, surveys, transfers, title searches, and the preparation of all other legal documentation and land transaction processes. We are located at 5 miles Philip Coulson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
Come and dine at our Belizean-owned restaurant for your hunger cravings. We offer a variety of fried and grilled finger foods and local dishes. We also do catering and host small socials and children's parties. Enjoy a relaxing and safe environment with your family and friends at affordable prices with excellent customer service. We are located at Mile 1 on the Philip Goldson Highway across from Gonzalo Quinto and Sons. Call us at 667-2200 for orders and deliveries. Cravings, where patience equals fresh food.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya. Tonight we have in studio, to my far left, Mr. Abdul Nunes, Mr. Mahadeo Bisoon, Iman Mohammed Siddiqui. All right, before we went to break, Mr. Bisoon, you were about to get into practical ways, practical measures that Belizeans could adopt?
Yes, thank you. During the Second World War, there was something called victory gardens in England, and people were encouraged to grow food because the food was coming from outside, and they did very well. Now, if we look at ourselves as a poor family, if you could produce some of your food, not much, it's there in the garden to go into the kitchen, and that reduces the pressure on your budget. Okay, so if we can encourage people, say in the south side, they don't have much land. From what I'm seeing, they have a house in the front, a house in the back. But if you get old pots, you can fill them with manure. The problem is we have to help them to get them manure. We also have to try to get them seeds and plants, right?
Yes.
But we don't want to overdo this because we don't want to create dependence on them. That something is for nothing.
Yes.
All of us have to stand up tall, retain our dignity, and push ahead and do.
Yes.
But these people are admirable. When I'm on Central American Drive, I see them.
Yes.
And I won't tell you all the wonderful little things that they do. Okay? I'll come back to that later. Now, in a rural community, as you mentioned, it's a little bit easier to deal with your situation in a village, and there's land around you, hopefully.
Yes.
And then you set yourself to go. But the problem maybe in rural communities sometimes is that you need cash. So you run into Belize, and you get a job that pays you $200 a week for 6 days of labor. And that is not enough to support a family, unless there's another person in it also earning 200, and so on.
That's true.
Okay? So what else can be done? Well, in the rural areas, you could certainly grow a lot of food. And this country is trying to produce more beans and corn and another crop for food. I don't know how far it's gone, but I'm watching the food that people cook and offer, right? So what you produce and you offer. And then on the side of fruit, we are incredibly well off here because we have tons and tons of fruit. I produce a handbook on plant propagation and try to figure out the fruits. And there's an enormous list of them. And if you put one tree in your yard and you get some sapodilla, or you put a 5-finger tree, and I don't know all the right names, or something else that gives you fruit.
Yes.
Fruit is important in the diet. And lettuce is not hard to grow. Lettuce comes in 6 weeks. You don't need a lot of space. The same thing with bok choy, and so on. I do organic gardening when I'm in Canada. I do in the summer for the church. All right?
Yes.
So I'm not just talking what I am. It's about something I don't do.
So you're talking about what, backyard gardening?
Yes,
Okay.
backyard, front yard.
Okay.
I mean, don't believe that there's only flowers
Pots,
in some
they
countries.
can pile it high up. you know,
Yes,
step,
on the
step,
fence.
step.
They're
Yes.
climbing kinds of peas
Yes.
that will run like bodi, like same that we have in Trinidad.
Yes.
So you plant it there, and then the thing is good to go, and you're collecting and putting it in the pot. And if you have any extra, you could sell it or give your neighbors,
Yes.
right? So, but we used to have a lot of that, giving your neighbor when they come and ask politely.
Yes.
We didn't want them to take without asking. But we always were able to give. And that is a hallmark of not being poor. The whole business of generosity in a society is important. When you stop giving because the money is on top of your back, you've lost it. If you cannot open your hand and help somebody else, you're not being human. I mean that quite seriously. I take it seriously myself.
And those are simple things because people may believe that having a garden, you need to have this huge yard and all that. But right on if you have a veranda, or you can have it step. I mean, it all has to do
But
with
even
your
all
own
of that
creativity.
requires the time to find the empty pots, requires the shelving, and so on.
Yes.
And if we could help them with that with money, and this will create some poor boys in Southside, for example.
Yes.
They come there and they spend maybe half a day and they earn a few dollars, and that helps them to move along.
Yes.
Not that I see earning $20 for 4 hours work as enough,
Yes.
but it helps. Okay, it's good for people to know they have something in their pocket, so they face the world,
That's right.
right? And they're not castrated. I'm afraid of that word. So the skills, training in tech work, in the beginning perhaps in selected areas where we know people that there's need, and you make something with the skill,
Yes.
and you go into an apprenticeship to help that. So the tech work school is not closed. The idea is to have an open tech work school where they work bench and the classroom are the same. And you have computers in there.
Yes.
You have boards all around so you could write. And if you go into trouble, you put up the question, this, I'm having difficulty with this, so the other people in there come and help you.
Yes.
So you get a kind of co-op activity.
Okay.
Not where you're on your own and you have to show that you could pass the exam. That's not education.
Okay.
Education is doing. When you go to a school and you look at the kids in the classroom,
Yes.
what they're doing is what they're learning.
Yes.
Now, I have been an educator for 40 years, and now I'm a development geographer.
Okay.
I used to train teachers and do it well,
Yes.
okay? Because I knew in the end, that if I don't do a good job, the kids wouldn't get the best teachers.
That's right.
They were deserving. So, what kind of technical training, like making leather goods, as I mentioned, making furniture, all kinds of durable consumer goods is what we have to pay attention to. And usually what I've done is to look at the import business and try to figure out, well, what we bring in to sell. I don't see us as making complex tools, but simple tools. You know, there are people here who are doing kind of welding and they can handle steel. But so far they're doing mainly security welding. Steel doors, steel gates, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But can they go beyond? Can they help us make, for example, a simple sugarcane mill with 3 or 4 rulers and geared properly with bearings and pushed by some motor?
Yes.
Because the days of doing it by bulwark with hand alone is gone. We need to make ourselves more productive and have some free time for ourselves and the family.
That's
And
right.
enjoy ourselves with our neighbors. Fun is good.
Yes.
That's part of not being poor,
Yes.
okay? Playing drums, dancing, all that sort of stuff, right? It's part of your culture. I leave culture alone. What I would like to share with you is this idea that according to Maslow, you have basic needs.
Correct.
And those cover the need for security, the need for food, right? And clothing and housing and all the rest of it. Now, housing too puts us in a space where when we look at people and their inability to have homes, where's the land? Okay? And then we put them into training, the same people who want the houses,
Yes.
put them into a training program so they could do part of the work at least of building that house.
Okay.
And then you go for modular construction. You don't build the whole house.
Yes.
You make enough, like if you want, say, in the end, 32 by 32, you start out by building a space with enough bedrooms and one living room, kitchen, everything together.
Yes.
And you do with that until you could go to the next phase.
Okay.
So you get out of not paying rent. And then, on top of that, is even if you want to go that direction, where do you get the small amounts of money to get going? Where's the capital?
Yes.
Okay? So that also is necessary. But as long as people don't think they want it for nothing or get it for nothing, they will come through. We need to attend to their dignity and lift them up and make them proud.
That's right.
Okay?
And
What's
Belize-
happening in Belize is that personal pride, especially among the poorest, the indigent poor,
Yes.
they're beaten down. And then they're the working poor, the ones who are making only 200 or less a week.
Yes.
And you can't mind your family. And that's what I mean by castration. Okay? It's a fierce word, but it's a correct word. And I'm glad I'm able to use it on the program without being worried that somebody might get very annoyed with me. So we also need people who will dream up, because you're doing that particular thing in a particular way, but wonderful things can happen if you say, what if I tried it differently?
Yes.
So you must be educated to leave that opening. When you're closed-minded through the kind of education we give people, and they don't dare to dream or do it differently, because massa watching, okay? And you're wrong. And the teacher telling you, you're wrong, you're no good.
No room to be creative.
Right. And then we have to
innovative.
learn how to say yes to each of us. Yes. Try it. Give ourselves permission
Yep.
to go ahead and make our lives. And that's what it's about.
That's right.
And in this way, poverty will disappear. All right? And it'll take time. But we need to firstly separate what is less possible from what is possible.
Okay.
Right? And practice the art of the possible.
And
Explain this to our kids, because we don't want to make them feel that we tell them you can't do this and you can't do that. Yeah, but do you really think that if you went there, it'll work out for you and you'll be okay?
they need to
We
dare
want
to
you
dream,
to be
right?
okay. The message we have is we are okay.
Yes.
We are your parents. We are your friends. We are your neighbors. We are your teachers. and we want you to succeed. You're not here for us to fail you,
Well,
and there's no correct answer.
Abdul, you are at Gateway,
Yes.
right? Gateway Center.
Right.
And I've been there. You've invited me. Thank you. I went there and I gave a motivational speech. And I met some of the youths there, right?
Right.
And incredible. And the mandate of what Gateway is doing. Now, you've been dealing with curriculum development, all right? And there's been other activities, and I know the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, are they a part of what is happening at Gateway, for example? Or the initiatives are quite separate?
Okay, what happens is that we have a wonderful director who is about partnering with other communal groups.
Yes.
We have a picture there where Mr. Bisoon has become one of our partners and did some training with us. I hope we could put that on the screen to show the viewing public.
Yes.
So he did a curriculum development training with us there as the staff to explore what we have current
Yes.
and how we can build upon it so that we could look at technical vocational training and giving these young people skills that they need to survive when they leave Gateway.
Yes.
For those who will leave or for those who are going to go on to high school.
May I
Yes.
add a little bit to that? I was so pleased when Mr. Crawford decided that the professional development of his staff would take on this interactive education seminar as they work through February and March.
Yes.
So I was so happy. I didn't have to force him to do it. He said, yeah, this is what we need. Let's go with it, okay? And I felt that my whole trip to Belize was made by that and also by meeting Mr. Abdul. Right? So let me go on, please,
Go ahead,
for
go
just
ahead.
1 more minute. So really, you have to have a positive approach in spite of the fact that there are other things happening here where the GDP is minus 0% last year. And people focus on that. But you're not going to change it. What is really most important is how well off are people. Are they comfortable with their lives? Are they making ends meet? And do they have friends? Do they have a community? Are they happy? Okay? All those things have to be taken into consideration. Money is not the only thing. Thanks.
I fully agree with you, Mr. Video. Abdul, I want to get to, we've been throwing around this word, and I know that a lot of people are not aware of what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is doing. I mean, you're doing quite a bit. We want to hear further of what is being done, but you're the General Secretary.
Right.
I'd like you to explain, first of all, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, what it is, and what you do as the General Secretary.
Okay. In terms of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, I brought my special guest all the way from Canada, so I'll ask him to do that part for me.
Okay, all right.
The Ahmadiyya Muslim community is one of the Islamic sects.
Yes.
Islam has many sects. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of God be upon him, mentioned that Islam will be divided to at least 73 sects. Present day we have the 73, possibly more. And the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is one out of the 73.
Yes.
And what we do around the world is get into a country and try to educate the people about God, and then talk about religious matters, peace, and also help any community that we do go in. So for the past 3 years, we've been here in Belize, and we have our missionaries here and some volunteers here. And in any country when we go, it's obvious that we have to have the organization registered. And when it's being registered, citizens own the community.
Yes.
So definitely the citizenry will have to get involved. Those of us that come here, we will come and go, but the organization will remain. Whatever we solicit for
Yes.
comes to Belize, we don't take it away. We only come in with our bags, and maybe sometime when we are leaving, the bag is empty. So whatever it is, that's the reason why Mr. Nunes
Yes.
is the General Secretary of the organization, and he has been doing a very good job.
I'm going to go back to Abdul because I want to hear some of the various economic, educational, religious, and social training that you're engaged in, that you're doing. But I want to, the Muslim community and Muslims on a whole, I believe, have gotten a bad rap.
Right.
All right? Worldwide, I believe.
From a few bad ones.
Yes, from a few bad ones. And so we want to hear what's different between the Ahmadiyya Muslim community versus some of the others that we've heard about that are very linked to terrorism. And we want to establish a difference right here.
We will.
Okay, before we go on and discuss the different very good work that you all have been doing.
Yeah, for every religion, we had the Mosaic dispensation where Christianity emanated from.
Yes.
And then we have the Muhammadan dispensation. In the Mosaic dispensation, Jesus Christ, may peace and blessings of God be on him.
Yes.
He was the Messiah for that dispensation.
Yes.
He promised that he will come back. Now, on the Muhammadan dispensation, meaning the Islamic dispensation, now Prophet Muhammad had also said that there will be a Messiah or a reformer
Yes.
that would come out of Islam. One somebody from among the Muslims would rise up and try to change the attitude and behavior of Muslims, which have deteriorated.
Peace and all that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, Ahmadiyya Muslim community believe that the second coming of Christ embodies the same person who was the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. In the same token, the Messiah or the Mahdi or the reformer that's supposed to reform Islamic religion
Yes.
has also come, but in the same person.
Okay.
So within Islam, there is a Messiah that had come to revive the religion, and that is to revive it to the how it started from beginning. The message that the Prophet brought, he's coming to revive it, and that is where Ahmadiyya Muslim community were born out. Now we go around the world to preach peace and to inculcate good habit and behavior among Muslims.
Yes.
And this is where we have come from,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I've been reading quite a bit about, about what you all have been doing, and I mean, I mainly hear about peace, and, it's really, I mean, sometimes I believe the other sects, probably some of them have an issue with you all because they are not on the same page with you in terms of peace.
You see, when water becomes so stagnant for a long time, it starts to smell,
Yes.
And the other Muslim communities, we don't say that they are not Muslim. They are Muslims. But there have been so many misgivings that have been crept into the religion, and many people or some members of the Islamic community indulge themselves in activities that are inimical to society, and Islam abhors it. For instance, you find people indulging in terrorism, and anytime you hear the name Islam, it is linked with terrorism.
Yes.
But the religion itself does not teach terrorism. The name Islam means peace.
Yes.
So if my name is Peace and I go out there to terrorize other people, can I call myself Peace?
No, you ought not to.
And
Inshallah.
you know, so for this reason, Prophet Muhammad knew, and he prophesied, and I will quote him. What he said was, "Yati ala nasi zamanun," that there will be a time in this world, la yabqa min al Islam illa ismuhu. There will be nothing left in Islam except its name.
Okay.
Wala yabqa min al Quran illa rasmahu, and the Quran, there will be nothing left in it except its words. Masajiduhum amiratun, the mosques will be full of people. Wahiya harabun min al huda, and there will be no guidance in it. So the founder of the Islamic organization had mentioned that these things will happen. He says, "Ulama'uhum sharru man tahta adimi samai," that the clergy in those mosques,
Yes.
the imams, are the worst creatures under the canopy of heavens. But he assured us that when you find those times,
Yes.
that is when the Messiah of the Muslims will come to revive Islam. And my community would be divided into 73. 72 of them
Yes.
would get themselves into serious problems. But one out of them would be on the right track. Around the world, they say that the Ahmadis, or the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, they claim we are not, the other Muslims claim we are not Muslims. Whereas the founder of Islamic religion says one will be right and 72 will be wrong. 72 say we are wrong, but they are right. And that's the reason why you read in the news that they attack Ahmadis
Yes.
from various countries. Sometimes they even
I've read
say
that.
we are Christians.
Yes.
And we have clothed ourselves in Islamic dress, and then we propagating interests of Christianity. It's just that we preach peace, and we do not involve ourselves in anything that is inimical to the society at large.
I'm very grateful for that that clarification Belizeans need, and Belizeans and viewers abroad need to understand that. Abdul, I want you to discuss with us some of the initiatives that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community have been undertaking over the past 3 years, right?
Yes.
Over the past 3 years. And we do have some of the flyers and so forth that will be shown, but go ahead.
Okay, since my involvement and introduction to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, I've learned of several initiatives as a General Secretary. I'm like the warrant officer of the bunch. I make sure that my senior, the Maulana or the Imam, is aware of certain conditions in the community. So I basically bridge him and the services that the community has to offer together.
Yes.
So I go
And
and look
just
for partnerships.
quickly, the Maulana and the
Imam.
Imam is
Just
changed
interchanging.
interchangeably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have Imam Naveed Mangla, who is our president
Yes.
in Belize. So some of the things we've been involved with is when there was the hurricane, for example, we were going around giving some food pantries to people, visiting some homes and giving them some assistance. Also, for the past 3 years, there's been the Ahmadiyya Basketball League, where we engage young people to get involved in physical and competitive activities that would keep them away from getting out there and getting involved in mischief. We've also partnered with Gateway Youth Center to do certain skill-based training, and the youth department as well. We did cell phone repair because we want to get people skilled so that when they leave the institution, they would have had that foundation to build upon, right? So with the cell phone training, last year we did the introduction. So we're inviting people who want to do the middle level now to come back. That's supposed to be starting in February. So they can come back and do a refresher and then move on to the next level. We also offer basic computer training. And that should be coming on stream we're still accepting registration.
We have a
for that.
flyer with that training.
Yeah, so that's the adult computer classes. We're still taking applicants for that because we want to reach a wider a wider audience.
So they can get in touch with you.
Yes,
Okay.
but the number we have on these flyers for them to call is 615-2651. So they could please let me repeat that number. 615-2651. That's Imam Mangla's number. They could call it, or we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter, and we have other pages that they can go on. But get in contact with us. Let's get this thing rolling. In addition to that, we have a sewing training that's coming up. We want to get people involved with that because, in my case, both my parents were. My father was a tailor and my mother was a seamstress. And Tamasa, my mother, she was renowned for sewing Garifuna cultural dresses, and she made a lot of money from that. So this training can be a springboard for a person who is interested in that type of vocation to make the initial stages, no? Then also we've been involved in community cleanups, as we have pictures circulating on the social media that we've been involved in community cleanups. Some people have actually called Imam Naveed and asked or put on our Facebook comment that they would want us to do it in Dangriga. Well, I can give you, you can rest assured that we are prepared to come to Dangriga, providing some Dangriganas assist
Yes.
us, we can get it done, because our motto is keep Belize clean for 2017. And as Humanity Force gets registered in Belize, there's much more activities that we will be able to do, because what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community does, we work in collaboration with the government, right? Just like the Red Cross. But it's only that we make sure that 90% of the resources,
99%.
all right,
resources
99
are channeled
Very
into the activities that the money was meant for.
Okay, so people want to get when they get donated today. So we're saying now that there are much more things that can happen. We could do a hospital here like we did in Guatemala.
Abdul, we are going to go to another ad break. And when we come back, we're going to hear from you regarding that. And also I want to hear about how much Muslims we have here in Belize,
Okay.
and Ahmadiyya Muslim in particular.
All right, no problem.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Shepherd and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. Our land consultancy services also include appraisals, conveyances, registrations, surveys, transfers, title searches, and the preparation of all other legal documentation and land transaction processes. We are located at 5 miles Philip Wilson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
Come and dine at our Belizean-owned restaurant for your hunger cravings. We offer a variety of fried and grilled finger foods and local dishes. We also do catering and host small socials and children's parties. Enjoy a relaxing and safe environment with your family and friends at affordable prices with excellent customer service. We are located at Mile 1 on the Philip Golson Highway across from Gonzalo Quinto and Sons. Call us at 667-2200 for orders and deliveries. Cravings, where patience equals fresh food.
The circle starts with solid support and a smile. This is real life. With its ups and its downs, this is going the extra mile. and the feeling you get when you can help someone along their journey. Through the twists and turns, we're here. This is Western Union, making sure your support reaches its destination. This is Western Union, moving money for better.
Because you see, in a way,
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya show. I am your host, Zenaida Moya. We have with us Iman Muhammad Sadiki,
Yes.
Mahadeo Bisoon, and Abdul Majid Yunus.
Yes.
All right, I'm saying the full name, Abdul. And before we went to break, we were discussing some of the very fruitful, I would say fruitful, because these activities also are channeling positive efforts into our youths and into our community.
Right.
Correct? So continue, you were about to speak about some other initiatives. And then I also want to know about how much Ahmadiyya Muslim we have here in Belize, and even on a whole the Muslims.
So let me get to the Ahmadiyya numbers. Last year we had about just over 100, about 120 persons. This year the number has gone up, and every year the numbers keep going up, because our approach to Islam is that love for all, hatred for none, and humanity first, right?
Yes.
Now, our imam is not the ordinary imam like one priest we're going wrong and just God bless you, this, that. He's a young, agile person playing basketball. He's a part of a what you call one senior basketball league. They play ball in Ladyville, right? But he is out there with you getting things done, and that's what people want, leadership by example.
Yes.
So this basketball league opens this Sunday at the Gateway Youth Center at 10 o'clock.
We have
Right.
a slide for that.
Right?
Yeah.
So we want to encourage all the young people, 9 o'clock rather, that they come and register their teams. We've extended the age limit. It used to be under 17, but we're making it now under 19, because we want to increase their level of competition and level of play. Right?
Okay.
So please come, register on the teams, and let's get this competition going.
We have the computer training center there also.
All right. Now, also coming up this weekend, and I've been very, very active in going around along with the other members of the community, because we are a well-greased machine in terms of we are a team and we're working. So while I'm working on the ground, you just say Abdul.
Yes.
But there are people behind the scenes on phones. There are sisters giving out flyers, inviting their families. Everybody has something to do. Persons organizing the buses, person organizing the media, person organizing different things. So we all have our tasks to do under one banner. And then what is going to happen is that in this upcoming weekend we have the Jalsa Salana, right? And Jalsa Salana, to cut long story short, is just the annual Muslim convention. So it's going to be held, and there's a slide for that, on coming up the 27th to the 28th of this month. So Friday, it begins at Juma time, which is about 1 o'clock, and it ends at 6. Then there's also starting early for Saturday morning up until Saturday night, and there's 3 features I want to focus on when it comes to this Jalsa.
Okay.
Think about you being a vehicle and needing gasoline. So you go in at the gas station and you are full up. You want to get the mirrors wiped, you want to get the oil checked and everything. So going to a Jalsa Salana is to get that oil check, to get that refueling, to meet other Muslims like yourself, to discuss and to make contacts and network, and to get that spiritual food from the people who will be doing the various presentations, and to form common alliances among each other.
Only Ahmadiyya Muslims can attend?
No,
Or
we
it's
invite,
open to everybody?
We invite everybody.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, let Imam
Yes.
Mohammed Sadiq explain his experience and what he's done in the various communities that he's been involved with.
A few years ago, I believe about 7 years ago, I went to Jamaica, and I lived there for 3 years to establish this community over there. And the Jamaicans who have had the opportunity to visit our complex would attest to it, that every evening you find youth who are in school. We have teachers there who help with their remedial classes. There are, the community around where our complex is, they are always there. We contribute financially, spiritually, morally towards every aspect of society. But particularly this time around for the annual convention, we have and are inviting every Belizean to grace this occasion with their presence at ITVET.
Yes. ITVET, okay.
Yeah, ITVET on Friday from 1 p.m. up to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And on Saturday from 9:30 a.m. up to 6 p.m. Now, there will be various speeches that will be delivered there. And many scholars are coming in. And the theme of this program is about peace.
Peace.
How to attain peace and tranquility with ourselves and with our neighbors, with our friends, and with society and a country. Basically, it's about that. So everybody is invited. It's not only Muslims going there. Every person, every peace-loving person should come, particularly those that feel that, okay, when I see a Muslim and he has that Muslim cap on, he's going to bomb me. There's no bombing here. We don't carry bombs.
But speaking of bomb, we're going to open the lines very shortly. But before we get to that, we had in the news recently a Belizean-born Muslim Islamic terrorist, all right, who was killed along with his common-law wife in the Philippines, January the 7th of 2017. He came into clash with the security forces there, and he resisted arrest, and they killed him. Now, he's a Belizean-born, all right? His name is, let me see.
Nadir Ali Ahmad.
Yes. And he was going by the name Abu Naila.
Yes.
Now, I want to know what, if any, impact you feel, and I'd like to hear from either or both of you, the killing and the link of him as a Belizean could have to Belizean Ahmadiyya Muslims and Muslims in general, and to Belize.
Let me
answer the question first.
Yes.
This could happen to any person anywhere.
Yes.
I'm not holding any brief
Yes.
for this young man.
Yes.
We do not know the details of events that took place in Philippines. But what we are being told is that he involved himself in terrorist act, and for that matter, the security agencies over there killed him.
Yes.
We want to say it here categorically that we do not know him as a member of our community.
Okay.
He is not
Okay.
and was not a member of our community.
Yes.
2, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community denounces and distance ourselves absolutely from anything violence, terrorism, or anything that is not peaceful. Ahmadiyya Muslim community has nothing to do with it. The youth, when they don't have jobs and they don't they are angry over whatever reason that they have. They join groups and associations on their own. He's from Belize. Why is it that he doesn't stay here in Belize and cause those atrocities? Somehow he left and joined some group.
The Prophet said something.
Any group that goes into bombing, terrorism, or any activity that is not right to human being, that person is not a Muslim. He went into to do his job somewhere. Whatever job that he went there to do, or wherever he found himself, he might have put himself in a situation where either it benefited him in a way, or if it did not, he found himself in a point where he was deemed to be a terrorist. And anybody who is a terrorist is not a Muslim. Either a Belizean, a Ghanaian, or a Canadian, or an Arab, or whoever it is. If you are a terrorist, you are not a Muslim. Islam does not encourage, or Islam does not accept terrorism. People talk about jihad. Jihad does not tell anybody to go bomb anybody. Jihad literally means struggle. Struggle. And the best jihad that the Prophet of Islam taught us was that you struggle with yourself. Those negative attitude, negative things about you, fight with that first. If you are able to, jahid with yourself, that is the most important one. Then the second one comes in is that you are in your home and somebody comes to attack you. Attack you and your family. What are you supposed to do? Naturally, even a child will fight back. That is all that Islam says. Do not attack anyone, even if, as citizens of Belize, the government doesn't want you to live here. You have no right. Islam says you have no right to fight the government back. Leave the country and go somewhere and ask another government to give you refuge so you can worship. Prophets of God were attacked. Jesus Christ was attacked. Prophet Muhammad was attacked until he ran away. Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all of them went through this. Why do we not hear that these prophets of God fought back? Rather, those people who came with goodness were fought. People attacked them. Why is it that innocent persons, citizens of country or society, a Muslim will get up and strap himself with a bomb and say, I'm going to kill him? For what? Whereas Islam says, if you kill one person, it is as if you have killed the whole humankind. And if you save one life, it is as if you have saved the entire human life. Now, the life that you have is not yours. God gave to you. Why would you take it out? So this should be another topic. Find another day and we will talk about
Can
that.
I just make a quick intersection?
Yes, but we'll open up the lines now, so feel free to call.
I want to put this in
One second, the number is 302-2170. So you can go ahead and call if you have any questions or comments. Go ahead, Abu.
All right. There is a saying of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah's peace be upon him, that the affair of the believer is a very strange thing. Whatever happens, he says, all praise be to Allah. So we are not supposed to look at what happened with Mr. Ali, Nadir Ali Ahmad, as also a bad thing. Because it's a blessing for us in disguise. Let me explain why. This means that all the part-time Muslims in Belize and all over the world need to get serious. Because of this incident, you are going to be checked. Just like how Donald Trump became the president of the United States and has made all these threats that they do this with them immigrants and do this and do that. It is to put the Muslims in check that on a need to put on the trust in Allah and do what you're supposed to do, count yourself Muslim. So this is a wake-up call for all the Muslims all over Belize. I am not going to condone the behavior because Islam Ahmadiyya makes it absolutely clear that we have nothing to do with that kind of behavior. But we have to understand that this is a wake-up call. We are afraid that there will be some, young people who want airtime, they need 5 minutes of fame, copycats. And we want it to be made categorically clear. We do not practice the harm of women and children and innocent people and people who are not combatants. We don't ascribe to no form of violence.
Mr. Bisoon, I want to bring you back. It was mentioned about Ahmad. He lived in Belize. I don't know if I recall meeting him, but for whatever reason, he went over to the Philippines, and the result is he's now dead due to resisting arrest. Youths in general, and we mentioned just now about different activities that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, are engaging in for youths. What else you think could be done to ensure that such acts don't happen at our youth, don't fall, fall astray in the midst of, such, I don't know what to call it. I mean, what prompted him to get into that?
Let me go back a bit. When I was in Trinidad, everybody was saying, because we have a crime situation in Trinidad, if the boys play football and cricket and whatever, they'll stay out of crime.
Yes.
And I looked at this and said, well, how is it we ask them to play and not to work? Okay?
Yes.
Because when you're poor and you have no work, you have no skills, I mean, why not steal? And why not get into selling drugs? And why not get into all kinds of negative behavior? Because you're very angry, you feel you've been let down by society, and take it all on them. Revenge is sweet. Okay? So I watched this, and people would come to Trinidad and they'd get $1 million from the Royal Bank to go and teach golf to rich people, children, I guess, or whoever. Now, I have nothing against playing, but for heaven's sake, let us ask people to work. And if we don't give them hope and purpose inside a schooling system, inside a neighborhood system,
Yes.
well, look, we're proud of you. Please go ahead and have a life, and we will help you.
Yes.
Okay? This is what I was saying earlier about we have to say yes. Okay? Maybe they're confronted with no's. And I am upset because every country talks a lot about what they're going to do with crime, and all they do is hire more policemen and build more jails. They've done it in the United States, and crime doesn't go away. Okay? And the sad thing there, of course, is that the American Indians, North American Indians, and Afro-Americans are the ones who populate American jails, and they are poor. So there's a connection, which we deny, between being impoverished and without hope and without means. And we don't attend to that because we are not big enough and large-hearted enough to give people something and say yes to them and help them.
Yes.
We're too busy with our own lives. Now, I admit that you have a right to be responsible to your family and all that and keep busy and working, but you also have to think about other people. That's community. And put a hand and do some thinking and not just knee-jerk your way through life.
Yes.
And this young man, for example, he just knee-jerked his way through without thinking because somebody offered him something. Like I was looking at young women in Britain, white women, young white girls, who were taking off to join ISIS. And I watched her and said, well, what's going on? I couldn't follow it.
Peer pressure?
Well, whatever it is. But you see what Abdul was saying too was a moment, copycat and a moment of glory.
5 minutes of
put
fame.
some excitement in your life, but life has to have other excitements than that.
Yes.
The excitement of being a good person,
Yes.
which we don't tell people how much more valuable it really is? Is that what we're doing? Are we missing our chance to cultivate people
But,
in a direction where they seize upon where they want to go with hope?
there's also
A loss of hope is a horrible thing.
there's also another aspect that we need to learn.
Yeah.
The people who recruit people, just like when you recruit people for police,
That's right.
BDF, then they look for a certain profile.
That's right.
Then they look for the one where not feed the last sheep or the black sheep as we call it in Belize. Then look for the one where isolate itself and not feel like it belong to nothing and they look for something to belong to. Then if you look for the one where sometimes the one where over ambitious than the rest of them, where I want something, some money, or what I want fame, or what I want
Or a cell phone.
you know, or a cell phone and so. Then they look for them one like that. Then they look for them quiet one. And for some reason I want you to look pan, believe make us zero this thing home. Two of the leaders, the profile of the leaders of the George Street gang were these light-skinned boys with these pretty brown eyes, and they fit that profile. It's the same thing, these leeches, these filth of human beings who call themselves ISIL and Taliban and these things are looking for our boys and our girls fitting one profile to make them into monsters. And we as Ahmadi Muslim want to have nothing to do with these people.
You mentioned ISIL, so I want to hear, because the viewers need to understand, again, what is ISIL and why the Ahmadiyya Muslims is not ISIL?
ISIL, that's the Islamic State. You see, there are too many wars in the Middle East. And the Middle East, you're talking about Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, and all those. So ISIL has something to do with Lebanon and Syria. ISIS, Iraq, is a political organization that they have formed to fight their political movement, to find a state of their own. And it's their own way of. It is not the religion. Just that the people who are fighting, these freedom fighters are predominantly Muslims.
Yes.
The fact that almost half of all of them are Muslims, claiming that they are Muslims. People attribute Islam to their struggle. But Islam itself has absolutely nothing to do with it. Just that somebody goes to downtown Belize and kills someone. Can you just say that Christians are killing people?
Yeah.
It's not. The person might not be a Muslim, and maybe the guy is a Christian.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to call all Christians terrorists?
Terrorists?
You see, some of these things are political, and we do not want to get involved in that. For Ahmadiyya Muslim community, all we say is that we denounce every form of terrorism. How can you kill innocent women and children? It is very abhorring. And we say that a nation cannot be reformed without the reformation of its youth. Let's focus on the youth, give them education, try to bring them closer to us, and then open avenues for them. Where we have a computer lab at our center in Belize City. We have the vocational training. We bring people in as little as how to fix a cell phone. We train in these youth. So if he doesn't have a dollar, he does not have to go and steal money from somebody. At least he can fix somebody's cell phone. If he fixes 10 cell phones and it's $2 a day, a piece, at least he makes $10. And he can, So these are avenues that we have started. Humanity First International will come in to do the best that we can, but we are in the process of registering the Humanity First. And once that is done, it's a relief organization where they provide trade for girls and boys, and we try as much as we can to help the community.
Can I come in here?
Yes, Mr. Bisu.
To some extent, when people ask us to look at poor people who are acting on the criminals, right, and some are petty crimes, some are serious, right? Is that not to distract attention from white collar crime? which is very interesting.
Yes.
And that requires a lot of forensic footwork. And a lot of countries are not equipped to deal with white-collar crime. And there's a question of untouchable. That they're not, you can't touch them because they are surrounded by power.
Yes.
I'll leave that.
That's why the CICID
And the
needs to be
problem
signed.
now with poor people is that they have no power. So
Unfortunately.
you can hammer them.
They only have power during voting time, huh?
Well, yeah, you fool them now.
Yeah, we don't get
Give them
it.
something to eat and drink and
we leave that
dance.
part. We leave that part with the politicians.
Leave
to
that
deal
alone.
with it. Ours is to train our youth and love them, show them the right way, and encourage them to, learn trades, educate themselves. Whatever way we can empower them, we come in to help them. As far as the politicians are concerned, it's another dynamic. We don't get there. We don't mix religion with politics. We as Ahmadis, we don't get closer. Anytime we need them, we go to them and talk to them and say, we need this help or we need that. When we have to tell them the truth, yes, we will. But we just don't go castigating them. So as far as politicians are concerned, they are partners, but they are not, we don't get involved.
I want to,
Open the lines.
yeah, well, it's open, because I think they have already released it.
Yeah,
But
that's,
we want to hear, well, the time is gearing up, so we want to hear some of the closing statements before I go on and discuss the repeat and the thank you. Again, anybody has any questions, they can call. It's been a very informative show. And yes, we'll have to have you back to discuss a little bit further indeed. The time goes by very quickly. But Abdul, could we hear some closing statements from you?
All right. In 2012, thereabout, I worked at the Belize Central Prison, and we had a plot of land behind the prison dorm for the youth, and we developed that into an agricultural project.
Yes.
I want to encourage the Belizean public in these critical times. Each block has vacant lots. As a community, clean them out
garden.
and make you an urban garden. If you need seeds, you could check with Mr. Emerson Gill, he has seeds. You could check with the Ministry of Agriculture, they have seeds. You could check anywhere to get little seedlings or any nursery to get seeds. Another advice I want to give to people, your leftovers, stop throwing your leftovers. Take your leftovers and refrigerate them. So if you cook rice and beans Sunday, make a broke this down.
Sorry, hold on.
You make soup Monday.
You're on live, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer the question for your panelist.
Yes. Go ahead, caller. You can turn down your television or your radio. There's an echo.
The question is basically in reference to the Quran, the Holy Quran,
Yes.
and being a Muslim. The question is whether Muslims are to war with non-believers for the sake of Islamic rule, one, and is it mentioned in the Quran that like they're to chop off people's head, their fingers, and kill infidels? And three, to kind of explain what's the meaning of jihad.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll take the first question. The last question, I'll answer that. The meaning of jihad is struggle. It is not war. War has another word for it. Jihad means struggle. Whichever form you take struggle to mean, you can see it. So it's not war. Either you struggle with yourself to get rid of your own behaviors and attitude that are not right, you do jihad with yourself. The other aspect is also whenever you are being attacked and you struggle with that individual or whatever it is, that is also another form of jihad. Then again, when you are being driven out of your home, it is also a form of jihad. These are the only permissible way of a Muslim to fight back. Whenever you are being attacked, you are fighting your own evils, and you are being driven out of your home. There is nowhere in the Holy Quran that it says that go chopping people's hands and their legs and whatever it is. Sometimes interpretations that have been given to the Quran, phrases and words of the Holy Quran, always create problem for people. It's just the erroneous interpretations that create these misgivings. So there's nowhere it's written in the Holy Quran that you should go chop up somebody's hand.
Let me add this.
Yes, Abdul.
I have Saturday classes, or Imam and President allows me to do every Saturday classes with the community. And from time to time to be a part of presentations. I teach Muslims and non-Muslims every day. And this is one of the reminders I give them. The Muslim, in every prayer that he prays 5 times a day, he prays Allahumma salli ala Muhammad kama salaita ila Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad kama barakta ila Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. This is, oh Allah, please bless Muhammad like you have blessed Abraham and the progeny of Abraham. Now, who are the progeny of Abraham? The progeny of Abraham is the Christian and the Jews.
Sorry.
So if you pray for somebody 5 times a day, why should you have a problem with them?
Caller, you're on live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Yes.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, good night.
We're hearing you. Go ahead. Just make sure your TV is on.
Assalamu alaikum, my brothers.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm glad to see that you all out there sharing Islam. That is very good. And it's an eye-opener to those who actually have the wrong concept of what is Islam. So I thank you, brothers, and I thank you, sister, for having my brothers there with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, brothers.
Thank
you
very
very
much.
much.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you pray for 3 persons, some of whom you don't even know, 5 times a day, why should you have any problem with anybody?
That's true.
Because the descendants of the Abraham are Christians and Jews, and Abraham is the father of monotheism. I keep singing this song on every radio station and television station that I go. Even a small child knows Father Abraham has many sons, we grew up on that.
Yes.
And if we claim to be one of the monotheistic religions, being Muslim, Christianity, and Judaism, then our father is Abraham, so we're not supposed to have no problem with nobody.
Yes.
I need to look at humanity first, and what Imam Siddiqui is suggesting, that that could lead to the support for micro-enterprise. Right? And then we are going to ask them to send down trainers.
Yes.
We're going to ask them if they're going to be able to put their hands on some used equipment. It cheapens the stuff and spreads the amount we could do, and so on.
Sorry about that. Good night, caller. You're on live. Go ahead.
Yes, Ms. Zenaida, could you give chance to the man to please speak again about the leftover food?
Okay.
That was me.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm saying to you that if you cook rice and beans on Sunday, whatever is left over, don't throw it away. Take it and put it in the refrigerator and make it freeze, so that Monday you could add some, make that into a soup and add some potato to it, or some way you call dumpling to it, and you have a meal on Monday. We are too wasteful in Belize. Anytime we have leftovers, we throw them away. And those same leftovers could make another meal the following day if you garnish it, or you fix it up nicely and add one or 2 things to it, and that will help you to minimize your spending.
Thank you, Abdul. Yes.
Okay, so really, this is a way to gain peace. Because if people can have a purpose and make a living in company with others and show them all the respect that they need and all the rest of it, because that's part of our lives, and we will shift away from this heavy-duty business of poverty and crime.
Yeah.
Right?
We need to.
Yes, and what annoys me is this business of people just talking endlessly about crime and do nothing. The same way they talk endlessly about poverty and do nothing, and they don't make the two connect. Okay, but in the meantime, we are distracted, and we are not paying attention to other people are stealing big time. Okay, there's big theft in this country.
Yes.
And
it's going again in the
leave that alone. I don't want to go there. And
All right, but
jump
let
in a
me,
hole.
while you don't want to go there, let me go here.
Yes.
When you want to save money, you not go look for name brand. They got thrift centers, they have used clothes stores. You go and you buy used clothes or clothes from the thrift center to save money. When you want to save money, you and your neighbor want to buy in collaboration and want to buy in a bulk and want to share the thing together. We have to learn to work together, Belize. This is some economic
I like that. That's
times.
excellent. Yes, caller, you're on live.
So, I would like to say to everybody that in this life that we suffer, we can take at people's life and we try, and to know that how much we tried, that we don't want to know that how much we tried to suffer, to have the flag out of the air. I say how much I rise in the air, I say, you know what?
Cut off.
Cut off?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry about
I
that
did
caller.
not understand what he was saying.
Yes,
Me
sorry about
hopefully call back. But what I'm saying is that we need to work together. Carpooling now, next thing. Why do we need 3-4 cars to go to one workplace and the vicinity is small? Why don't we team up? Some people walk, some people will get some bicycle. The fact and issue is that in economic crunches, you have to do with little less than we may have before. So you have to pool with your neighbor. If your neighbor make bread, like we used to do in the Garifuna community, then people make cassava bread while some others go fish. So you give me some fish, I give you some cassava bread. This is what the life we have to go back to. Rather than buying gas, car gas going up again, why not make you leave fire heart in your yard? Right? And everybody know that fire heart food are the best food.
it is.
Right? Again, hand-me-downs.
Yes.
But this generation, the hand-me-ups. But anyway, hand-me-downs. You have 5 picnic. The clothes where the eldest one used could get passed down to the others. Right? Bunk beds again. You have more than one child in your house. You could make bunk beds so that it's 2 or 3 of them sleep together until they reach a certain age when you have to separate them. But we have to look at economizing, man. Right? The same garbage we use from the okra, the tomato, the fruits then we cut up and so, you take that one spot in your yard and throw it right there consistently. And you take some seed and just throw it there. One of the seed they want to grow. And you could have some nice cantaloupe or some nice watermelon or some nice cucumber to grow right in one spot there. But we have to go back to the old ways in terms of agriculture and stuff like that. Because times hard, you can't afford to buy everything. No. There is a factor, we know the factor in this thing. Communities that are close to the border won't suffer as much as communities like Belize City and Belmopan City where they're far from border towns.
Yes.
So we have to start thinking about pooling, family pooling, car pooling, buying in bulk, right? Pooling.
Buying used stuff.
Yes, buying used stuff.
But
Yes.
in addition to that, I am very concerned about the increase in technology. For example, a Garifuna woman, older woman, is bent over preparing cassava. She has to peel it, grate it, squeeze out the juices, and then go ahead and make it into bread. Right? All of this she's doing by hand and slowly.
Yes.
I would like to see simple machines come in there that are not expensive, even if they're hand-driven machine like a hand grinder or whatever,
Yes.
and so on. Okay? And also, you know, we haven't thought about it, but we have solar cookers, right? We can concentrate the light of the sun, put food in our glass boxes. Some people do it. I think the Japanese maybe try it, because you stack the food, or the Chinese, in baskets,
Okay.
bamboo baskets, I've seen them. And then the heat from the sun, you cover it up with glass, and the heat from the sun cooks.
Cooks it. Okay.
And you arrange the food to suit. So you have about 3 or 4 things, or 3 things stacked up one on top of the other.
Yes.
The rice and this and that and the other, and they all cooking at the same time.
Very good.
All right?
Very good.
So you don't, you know, to add to what Abdul is saying.
We will have to partner with the government, and those of you that can also talk to the politicians and those that you know, you give them some ideas also, bring in certain suggestions to them. Sometimes also the government, they are not that wicked that they rule a nation and they just want the country to be ruined. No.
I wish to jump right in here
No,
and
please.
disagree with you.
Please. Whichever way they are, if we have any ideas, we have to advise them also. Either we write and send to them,
Yes.
or we try to, find a way to get to them.
Correct.
I'm just saying it in general, that it would help. Once we have advised them and have given them some suggestions and others, and then they don't follow it up, at that time, we can go in and say, well, we suggested and we did this and nothing happened. So at that point, we can.
What I'd like to mention is this whole question of dependency on the government. The government, in many cases, doesn't have enough people on staff to what it's supposed to be doing. The technical things like Ministry of Fisheries and Ministry of Agriculture and all the rest of it. They may mean well,
Yes.
but they don't have enough people who go around. Therefore, that really is room for us to step in and do it. And this is a question of dependency. To gain the independence, it's not just a flag. It's a quality of mind.
Partnership.
Right? And I see it among Garifuna people. They're fiercely independent. They have not been through the whole cycle of slavery. And they are admirable. Okay? So I believe in people exercising independence. And they do it inside communities and not wait. For example, if you look at our garbage that we throw out and we expect the garbage truck to come and pick it up, we're missing the chance to separate garbage and make mileage out of it. Because garbage can be processed and recycled and used for all kinds of purposes. You could take plastic bottles and use them inside the mix, the hot mix we put to make asphalt. Or you could grind rubber tires and put them into the tune of 30%. And you get a much better surface road.
Yes.
All of that. So there are technologies that are available to us. They're not expensive, and we need to share this with people. And I don't believe that the fellas who are doing all of this work and they don't have enough staff to do it. Right? I dream, for example, of a time when we will be having hatcheries to produce spawn, to put in shrimp that reduce the numbers, lobster, fish of all kinds, and then utilize the mangrove swamps and the grass beds, right, seagrass beds, to hatch fish and let them grow and do their migration. So we are going to create plenty. Everywhere in the world, fish stock has collapsed.
Yes.
So we need aquaculture on land. And when I go to Punta Gorda, I will be, in fact, looking at the Garifuna and ask them to process fish.
Good night.
So, Mr. Moya, I want to say something that what this guy was talking about now.
Yes, Abdul.
That you know that everybody in this world, that they live a life and have a happy family. And they have some that don't appreciate what they have. Because you know why? For a company, we're a community that we have to live because two father and father, mother and father for irrigation, right? Now, for that, you know, that there's nobody, and there's nobody because who call everything our foreign nation? It's no. Am I wrong or right?
Any of you want to respond?
Do you understand the question?
Not quite, I didn't quite follow.
Repeat your question.
Yeah, just say to us again.
What I'm saying, sir, what I'm saying, right?
Uh-huh.
It's this, right? Here, you know that for our great-grandfather from whatever brings to this world, right? And they terrified our nation that we belong to our nation where far away, Guatemala want to fight for us, where we are belligerent. And then they part of they want to fight us for what? For our flag cannot be.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
touched upon something which is quite serious. It's been going on for a long time. This is not the only place where the British have moved out and left us with something that we can't solve.
Speaking of right now is this.
I don't know. Is that the answer to your question?
It's like you give her a butter from two sides of the bread. You cannot have it.
That's true. And
Right?
I don't as an outsider.
To be sincerely, you cannot give a child that's suffering right now for it. And how could I give her a butter and the bread in a half gun of it?
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
why I come, sir.
Can you-
Have a good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Moya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yes.
Take care.
All right, folks, let me share something with you. I don't normally get into my personal life, but this is important. I grew up in Belmopan selling bread, wangla, tableta, fudge. In our family where my mother had 10 children, nobody in a Belize can tell me about poverty. Because my mother get up every single day and bake bread and bake bun and bake make wangla and make tableta for I go sell. I didn't have much of a childhood. I had to go to school, come home from school, go sell bread, then come home at night, we go sleep. Where I never sell in the evening, I go sell in the morning. Now this is not anything special about me, but I'm showing you when a person has the will to uplift himself, the measures that and the avenues that are available is there. We don't have any excuse. My mother used to bring other women to her house to grate cassava to make cassava bread. And you know cassava bread lasts for months, even years. But we are, the economic times is showing us one important lesson. We have to come back to community.
Yes.
As a community, we have more rather than individualism. Individualism is killing the world.
Yes, and on top of that, it's really a belief in human ingenuity, the ability for us to find answers, not just to sit with all answers, but to move ahead, as I was saying in the case of an old woman, bending over to grate cassava and doing all of that by hand. And I would like to see a simple machine like a hand grater even, to take off some of that pressure so she has a chance. Back-breaking work is we have the kind of tools which takes us to, so we have some leisure time.
Okay, gentlemen, it's been a very interesting show, and I'm sure it's been one that the viewers, the listeners have learned a lot. I know I have. And there'll be a repeat of the show. So for those of you who want to watch it again, or for those of you who oh gosh.
Incoming call.
Okay, I'll pick up this last one, and then we go ahead with the ending.
Yeah.
Yes, caller, you're on live. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to say one good night to Zenaida Moya, and I good is a thing that you are talking for tonight, and I welcome to all the three, and are you with Zenaida Moya?
Yes.
And have a good night, and God bless.
God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yes, I want to say that there'll be a repeat of the show tomorrow. It'll be just before the news, so I believe 4:30 it will be on. 4:30 p.m. and it'll also be repeated Monday, same time, 4:30 p.m. right here on Nortevision. Of course, Nortevision is countrywide, everywhere, every cable it's on. And of course, it's also going to be posted on YouTube, so you can go and watch it. subscribe to the Zenaida Moya Show channel so you can always know what's happening, and like the Zenaida Moya Show Facebook page so that you can share your thoughts, your comments, and give us new topics that you'd like to hear. We want to also thank our guest here tonight, Abdul. Thank you very much. All right. I'm always reading your poems. They're powerful poems. We want to thank Mr. Bissoon. We've learned a lot. Thank you. And I hope that your stay in Belize is one that is very fulfilling.
Well, I'm grateful to be here, and I've been given opportunities, and I relish that. And I just want to excite people and open some doors so they can see their way out of where we are.
Yes, remember Gateway Center is available, and of course the Facebook page, you can always go on there and make contact with Abdul, make contact with Ahmadiyya Muslim Community Facebook page as well. And of course there's a telephone number. I want to thank also Imam Mohammed Sadiq.
Yes.
You're currently based in Canada. And you're here. Yes, I made sure I got it right.
Yes.
And so thank you for being here, and I hope that your stay continues very well and is fruitful. I want to thank you, all our viewers out there. Thank you for making this show possible. Continue to like our Facebook page and share your thoughts and comments. The callers, thank you for your calls. And of course, to our advertisers, Zitra International, Cravings Restaurant, Moya Shepherd and Company Limited, and of course this station, Norte Vision, thank you for supporting this initiative of educating, informing, and empowering our Belizean people. Thank you to our production team. You have been awesome. And of course, to my little daughter Natalia and my son Kelvin, I love you and thank you for inspiring me to do this show. I invite you back next Wednesday, same time, 8 p.m. right here on Norte Vision. Until then, have a safe and blessed week. God bless you all.